Okay, so cast your minds back, or actually to a certain degree forward. We are now. So what we've just done is a couple weeks in the past, or a week or something like that. Some relatively short period in the past. We're now going to go back to present time, Faerun, where you had arrived at Silvery Moon. You saw some sort of, it almost looked like refugee status. Well, no, not refugee status. You saw these big lineups. You found out that they were kind of checking people for stuff in terms of seemed to be health and taking people away. You went to a temple. There's an acolyte there you asked some questions of, and they were kind of like, they didn't give you a lot of information. They were obviously very busy. And you went to the Emerald Enclave and asked a few questions there. And now you're leaving the Emerald Enclave, the four of you. So Lore, Brile, my brain, Krev, and Ventus are leaving the Emerald Enclave, having learned a little bit about what's going on in terms of there's an issue, but not exactly what's happening.
We know that Brile's admitted he feels sick.
Yes.
We know that Lore is lying, or at least I have
clearly
worked out that he's putting on a brave face and is refusing to admit what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
That Krev is somewhat beside himself, but now has the formation of a plan. Plus, you were saying like that night.
Mm-hmm.
Did we have those dreams before or after we had our encounter?
Encounter with?
Well, we had all of our discussions and the role play in the Glade after speaking to the Emerald Enclave people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had that night, like, I had a message sent from Oberon, and Ventus had a message sent from Bahamut. So is this the next morning?
You're probably remembering it better than I did, because it can be the next morning. I was having it as you're leaving the Emerald Enclave, but it could be either way. So if it keeps the continuity together, then it's the next morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it may have to be.
Okay, let's do it that way. So you find a place to stay to kind of deal with this. Yes, Ventus had the dream and the vision of dragons dying in a fire, and Ventus Ventus wasn't there. Ventus was the fire, I believe.
And I had a message saying, "You've done what I told you to do. Come home.
When you're ready, come home." Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the next, you kind of deal with this kind of stuff. The next morning rolls around, and wherever you happen to be staying, I'm going to guess an inn or something like that. I'm kind of guessing you're not hanging out at Lore's father's place.
Nope. Likely the same inn that Lore and I. To be fair, unless Lore kind of sends me away, I have him basically wrapped my arms all night because I am not happy about this situation.
Yep.
I think, given the way we ended it last time, that it's very likely that Lore is probably off by himself. Maybe. I think it's to him. It's that kind of, because I remember that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the last time we obviously Lore was lying and he got a bit defensive and he was kind of angry. And I think in his mindset, he's a little bit like I said, he's in denial, but he's also like he clearly knows there's something wrong. He just doesn't want to admit it, and he's just like, look, I just don't want to deal with this. And I know Krev was like, hey, look, let's figure this out. Let's sort of, trying to be there for him. But he's just, burying his head in the sand. He's like, look, just be alone, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you arrange for separate rooms,
I wouldn't say separate rooms. I would say it's more of a case of he probably just walked off somewhere.
You just go chill outside, or like?
Yeah, he's probably just like, look, I'll speak, he's like clearly upset, and he just like walks off somewhere. Like, that's the way I would say it, is that he was just like, he plans to just he's clearly not going to leave the city, but he's not going to
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I give Lore his space. If he comes to bed, if I wake up, I basically just hold him tight. But otherwise, the next morning, I'm up and probably with finding Ventus because I need his help to find out where to find this information. But I want to scour the libraries of Silver Moon to find out if there's a place nearby where the boundary between the Prime Material and the Feywild is weak. Because I don't have the ability yet to just plane shift myself over there. So I need to find a place where I can possibly get Oberon's attention and either push my way through somehow or simply talk to him. And because we're all trying to figure out what's going on, I have a feeling, I don't think he's responsible, but I figure he knows just because he always knows everything.
Yep.
And I want to try and get his attention. He's obviously following what I'm doing. It's like, okay, talk to me. I'm your tool, but I need to know what's going on. And I have a request to make of him.
Okay.
Like, if what's happening is what Kreb thinks might be happening, he's got a request to make.
Okay.
And this is going to be funky how we play this out.
Well, the good news is you don't have to worry about getting yourself up in the morning because there is a knock at your door right around the time you might be rising or a few minutes before or whatever.
Right, I pull pants on and open the door.
Okay, and so where's everybody? Is everybody in the rooms, or like Laura, you had headed off? So where it's the next morning. There's a knock at. Assuming the rooms are pretty close together, there's probably a knock at a couple of doors. So who is where the next morning? Is everybody
I
in
would
the
say
room?
Ventus has already gotten up and he's like downstairs by the hearth, just staring into the flames, contemplating his dreams. So
Didn't Baral leave town? Didn't he?
Did you?
Yeah, didn't he decide to just take off out of the town for a bit?
Did he? I thought, at least correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was something you said you wanted to do, but I don't think we actually
Oh,
did it
well, in that
like
case, he probably has done it by now then. Like, when we were going to bed, Brile probably just is out communing.
I'm just trying to remember why he did that, because I remember he was going to go off into, like, the fens or whatever.
I thought it was something you
we were
doing. Not
yeah,
you.
we were gonna look for some sort of way to heal you, right? Like we were gonna commune with nature and like do some alchemical stuff or something.
Yeah,
or-
you were going to do alchemical. Brile, I think, wanted to commune to figure out if there was some natural solution. And I mean, Krebs' instinct was to go and talk to his boss. Yeah, so I guess, Brile, you're
You're out and about, so you're not there.
Yeah.
then.
You know what, though? I mean, he could have just gone off for the night and come back.
Yeah, in that
Maybe
case,
maybe you come in and you like see me sitting by the fire and you're like upstairs.
He
I hear
comes
something.
in, he's got, like, sticks and stuff in his hair, a little more disheveled than usual, because, you know, you're not there to prestidigitation him.
So do you see Ventus hanging out at the fires? It's relatively early in the morning. It sounds like. Do you hang out there? Do you head up to your room? What do you do, Brile?
He didn't get a room.
Okay.
He left town instead.
All
But he
right.
comes back in the next day when not too late, looking
Probably
a bit
just after
disheveled
dawn.
and looking a bit disheveled and maybe underslept, and sees who's up.
Okay.
I turn around and see Baral enter. I notice his disheveled state, and I snap my fingers and prestidigitate him back into his normally groomed self. And I say, "How goes it? How did it go?" I had no luck in my research.
Nor did I, but it's early. I'm gonna keep trying.
You just see kind of this haunted look in Ventus's eyes, and it just looks hollow and withered, old.
And Brow went out and did some rituals. He was speaking with animals to see if he could get anything from them. But of course, they're not terribly bright. But whatever. He did his thing. He entombed himself a bit in the earth and just meditated, tried to listen for the voice of what's her name, things like that. Just trying to reach out and be available and open to any sort of mysterious or mystical, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
After he reports this, I'm going to tell him that Lore is missing, and that Krebs upstairs.
Of course he is.
Well, I'm gonna retcon the knock on the door since Ventus is already up early in the morning. So again, when you arrived at Silvery Moon, one of the first things you did is went to a nearby temple and spoke with an acolyte and got whatever information you did or didn't get, and then moved on to the Emerald Alclave. Early in the morning, not the same acolyte, but it's obvious somebody from one of the temples comes into the inn that you're staying at. Starts to head towards the stairs, heading up towards the rooms, and catches you sitting there, maybe a little bit surprised, wasn't really expecting you there, and both you and Bryle are there, and so then changes tact and starts heading towards you, and comes right up to you, and says, you are looking for answers to what is affecting the world. I have those answers. I suggest you gather your friends and come with me. You will not find the answers in the temple. You will not find them at the Emerald Enclave. You will not find them at most of the factions that you may go and speak with. You will find them with me.
I'm going to stand up, my bones creak. I'm going to look at him and say, well, you have us at a disadvantage, sir. What is your name?
And he looks at you and says, Ventus. My name is Sardar, and I have the information that I know that you're seeking. I am sent by someone we know, and I would have you come with me.
I look around and call out for Jared here to go get Krev. Or if he's in earshot.
This is a this is a human dressed as an alkalite, looking like an alkalite.
Okay. So Dreg probably flies out the window, up a floor, and then in through the window into my room.
Mm-hmm.
And probably lands on the pillow, and with basically chuckling slightly, sticks his tail in my ear. it's like I bat it away for a moment. He does it again. What is it?
Please tell me he wet willies you with the tail.
Essentially, yes.
But he's an imp, so it's like a hot.
No. He's a pseudo dragon. Remember?
Oh, a pseudo dragon. Sorry.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's right. I know that.
He wakes me. He wakes me. I was like, "What is it?" I wake up. I'm just like, I look around, and this is the question to Seth. You didn't come to sleep, did you?
No.
Okay. I wake up, and it's like he's not there. Crab gets up. Assuming there's a basin of water there, he just washes his face, splashes around a bit, dresses, and then goes down, sees, basically with a Shireg on shoulder, sees his friends there, orders a whatever morning stimulant is available, coffee, tea, whatever it is. Looks at the fellow with him and is like, and you what?
Sorry, looked at the fellow that
looked at Saldar.
Yeah,
it's like,
says,
and you are?
I am Saldar. I am here to help you and to provide the information that you seek. And then he looks around and says, I was to understand there is 4.
I blink my eyes and turn on the detect magic vision.
Mm-hmm.
What do I see?
you detect no magic other than what would be on the party. Seldar has nothing, nothing in the inn,
Okay.
nothing.
Bryle and Ventus glow.
Stop that! Stop that! Put that off. So he says,
Oh, there it is.
I understood that there would be 4, and he kind of looks around.
I
Yes.
look to Dreg and the others. Is like, where's Lore?
I've been up all dawn and pre-morning. He has not come in. He stayed out all night. Bryle, did you see him while you were out?
He just shakes his head and shrugs.
All right, we got to find him. Minnie Penny, please go look. I'm sure
Yeah,
Jared goes us too.
Oh yeah, I look over at Jareg and I just find my love.
So, Lore, how tough are you to find at this point?
I wouldn't say it's too tough. I think he.
Actually,
Don't you know him pretty good? Wouldn't you be able to find him? Like,
here's the thing. I at this point it's like we don't know where he is.
Mhm.
I reach into the bag of holding and pull out a crystal ball and I scry the location.
there you go. Yes.
It's like, what are we doing? We are 11th or 12th? We are 12th level characters. I can find the guy I'm sleeping with.
At least you'd hope so, at least, right?
What's that, Seth?
No, I said you'd hope so at least.
Yeah.
At the very least.
You may not want to find out where he is, but you.
Oh well, we're gonna see exactly where he is in a moment.
No way.
What kind of what kind of strip joints does Faerun have?
Look, this is Silvermoon. Silvermoon's a classy place, okay?
Sorry.
Classiest
Sparkles and glitter.
Sorry, what kind of?
He comes home just dusted and sparkles and glitter.
What sort of? I apologize. What sort of escort establishments does Silvery Moon have?
Oh
Jeez.
dear.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I took a trip to the Feywild last night, guys.
Oh wow.
Where's Lore? Seth, where's
Yeah,
Lore?
so
when you scry?
I burn a spell slot and I cast Scrying 5th level. And actually, I should probably click on that spell because I've forgotten how it works.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, there it is. So if the target knows you're casting this spell, it can fail the saving throw voluntarily if it wants to be observed. Essentially, there's a as written. There's an invisible orb that kind of floats a few feet away from who you're trying to find. Because I didn't know that when we first used it, I kind of if you succeed on the saving throw, then you kind of know it's happening. But we'll figure that out.
Let's just say that was a dragony version of the spell. This is the more standard.
Yeah, sure. Okay, we can go with that. So the target must make a wisdom saving throw, and it's adjusted by how well you know the target. So you're familiar with the target, so right away it's a -5 to the saving throw.
You might say he knows me inside and out.
-10 then.
Ever give me a lock of your hair?
I'm sure that you have had him bleed on you somewhere.
Oh,
not like that. You dirty jerks. Oh, stop it. You fish your minds out of the gutter.
He is a half-orc. Come on, that's.
I was saying we've been in fights all the time. I'm sure we have something.
Yeah.
Like for if we lose a party member, we can go find him.
Yeah. So
It's possession or garment.
Send some little animal messengers to find them if possible.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So make whatever roll is necessary. Because I think it's a saving throw on Lore's part.
Yeah, Lore does a wisdom saving throw, adjusted by at least -5 and
possibly a -9 because I must have something of his.
Yeah.
Assuming he even wants to make the saving throw.
I'm not going to make the save throw.
Okay.
So
all right.
we can just get that part.
So where does
Where are you?
Krev determine you are? What does he see in this invisible sensor, which is within 10 feet of you? He can see through it as if he's actually there. So what does he see?
So, as anyone who knows Silvermoon will know, there's a lot of really, really, really big trees around Silvermoon, like gigantically huge trees. So as you come in and scrying them, you see what looks to be kind of a hollowed out kind of crevice inside one of these massive trees, and you can see it's very similar to what just given how tall these are, like the equivalent would be to the kind of hole a bird or a mouse or a squirrel would make in the kind of crevice of a tree, and it's just like a little kind of spherical kind of
a bowl of a tree.
Yeah, like hollowed out inside, and you just see Law with his gear, like his pack and his armor is all kind of like to the side of the area, and you just see him sitting in just regular clothes, laying face down on the floor, hair a mess, a few bottles of whiskey or wine surrounded him, and he's just fast asleep, snoring his ass off. And something I will say as well, the inside the tree, you notice there are several kind of, I would say murals or pictures, and they look very childish, and you see a few things just kind of scattered around inside, just a few knickknacks, and very it clearly seems like a place that Laura's familiar with, and has been to a lot.
Coming here your entire life, especially with the problems at home.
Well, we have two choices. Actually, you should probably go get him, Krev.
I look through this. I'm not saying anything to anyone. It's like he's asleep in a tree. I pan around. Can I work out where he is roughly?
I think, given it's Silvermoon, you could probably notice a couple of landmarks, either close by or in the distance. So you essentially triangulate. There's that pub over there. There's that temple over there. Okay,
especially with Jared flying around helping you too.
Yeah. So no problems there.
So I put the orb back in the bag of holding. It's not very big. It basically fits in the palm of my hand. I'll go get him. And I stand up and I down the rest of my coffee. It's like, ooh, hot. Okay. And I call Jared back, and I start heading in the right direction. And when I get to said tree, how far up are you?
Now, just before this happens, Seldar will Seldar will say, in the interest of time, would it be best that if we all go? Essentially, we find Laura, then we go to where I need to take you.
No, I think it best that I bring him back here, or if you're coming, that you stay some distance back.
I'm going to say to Saldar, let Krev and Lore have a moment. I need to speak with my friend Barile anyway about the important that I have.
We will come with you as soon as we can.
Okay. He looks a little put off, but doesn't say anything else, and it is as you say. So you find Lore.
Okay. And he's still asleep, I'm guessing.
He's snoring like a baby. And if it wasn't any indication, there's several bottles of alcohol laid beside him.
I was going to say, I don't think he's just sleeping.
Yeah.
I think he's sleeping off.
Is he... are you armed?
No, he's...
If his weapons are to the side, that's good, because then
his armor, his weapons. He's just in regular clothes, no magic items, no nothing.
I sit down beside you and basically brush the side of your face in an attempt to gently wake you up. Reaction? The reason that I asked if you were armed is because I know you're dangerous, and a sudden waking up like that, if you woke up with a start, you might try and put a dagger through my heart. Not intentionally, but just out of reflex. So that's why I asked.
thought you were used to being stabbed by my sword by now.
You forget who's the top in this relationship.
You've got a point.
Oh gosh,
I had to say it.
I'm gonna miss these PCs after the session.
So as he brushes my hair across, I think you just kind of see like one eye just kind of like creak open and just kind of like slowly look up at you, but his whole body, like the rest of his body, doesn't move. It just remains as still and sprawled out as it is.
Hey.
And you hear, I'm trying. I don't know if the mic would pick this up, but because his face is like right against the floor, so you hear like a just kind of like a muffled hey in response.
Right. Okay. Oh. Feeling better?
Not really.
It's all right. I try and basically help you get into a sitting position. And don't have anything for the... I look over at the bottles. And I actually look at him, head kind of quirks aside. Do elves get hangovers?
That is actually a good question.
Somebody tells me the way lore does it. Yes, some elves get hangovers.
He just has resistance to poison. I mean, he just has to drink twice as much. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
I gave him Krevlaw's trademark smirk, and that kind of just whimsical, like, hey.
At which point, Krev just smiles like, "Yep. How are you feeling?" He says possibly a little bit louder than he needs to.
Yeah, and in which case, a law will definitely grimace a little bit, and he's just like,
Come on.
rubbing the side of his temples, like,
Krev starts basically give you a bit of a shoulder rub. It's like, well, I need you to get up, collect your stuff, pull yourself together. He leans in a little bit. I'm here, don't worry. Someone's come to find us. As I say, a slightly more business-like, well, not business-like, but, work is starting to creep in on us effectively here. His name's Saldar. I don't know who the hell he is, but he claims he has answers, and he's really antsy to get us to go somewhere with him. And show us what the hell's going on. Figure what could it hurt. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go and talk to Oberon. You know what that could mean. But, pull yourself together, we'll get you some coffee, and then we'll find out what this fellow has to say.
I think.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
as he's kind of rubbing your shoulders and whatnot, he kind of just pulls you in and hugs you tightly for a moment. And then... Okay, let's go.
As you pull him in and hug him, like the whole time when you were saying, obviously, about Saldar and having to go to work and all that kind of, like, having to leave and stuff like that, he just, at that point, he was just, kind of nodding almost reluctantly. And then as you kind of bring him in and hug him, he maybe almost probably, I don't know if it's unexpectedly, but he puts his arm around you and kind of holds you a little bit, quite tightly, with his arm, around the back of your neck, and he kind of pulls his head like close, to the side of your neck, and he just like whispers into your ear and says, in a kind of very like broken voice, he's just like, "I don't want to die, Kriv."
And you need a breath mint.
When you say
I'm
that,
so sorry.
when you say that, Krev actually just kind of like a single sob for a split second, and you realize that a tear is running down his cheek, and it's like, I will not lose you. You are not going to die. You're going to live for centuries. And I know I won't be there for most of them. But we will have the time that we've earned. And he's holding you fiercely tight right now. And he actually pulls you back, like pulls back from the hug for just a split second, and you adjusting, you realize it's because he's coming in and he's going to kiss you quite hard. And he will. He's yeah.
Yeah, Law doesn't. He doesn't say anything back to when you say, he's gonna live for centuries. I guess as you pull back to going for the kiss, I think you notice maybe his eyes are a little bit red as well, and maybe there's been a few tears that have been shed on his own part. And he goes in for the kiss as well. And I guess eventually he pulls away and says,
We won't solve this sitting here. Let's go be heroes.
Yeah, let's. And he gets up and gets ready, and they leave.
As the
That helps you into your armor and such.
As the David Bowie soundtrack swells once again for the 4S team. So
That was really good. I'm sorry I interrupted it with my breath mint comment.
That's fine.
I was going to say that I enjoy the fact with this group that we can have these tender RP moments, and then for those of you that know Mystery Science Theater 3000, these peanut gallery comments at the same time.
That's a great idea. That is definitely what I am, the peanut gallery.
We switch back and forth very well.
I was trying to message you back. I couldn't make it work, Brett, but it basically was LOL. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
so
I'm sorry, but it was really good, guys. Good stuff.
Yeah. It's always the RP in this gang is always a good. So you gather yourselves back together with Saldar, I imagine, at this point.
Yeah. Also, while they're away, I'm going to tell Barial about my little dream that I had.
Mm-hmm.
If he has any.
Remind me the dream again.
So yeah, I'm gonna say that last night I dreamt of fire, and Barial, you know that that's not uncommon for me, but it is when I'm the fire and I am burning my brothers. I was burning the dragons, Barial. I killed them all.
What the hell?
It shook me to my core. I couldn't sleep. I had to wake up, and I've been staring at this fire, and I'm having this conversation away from Saldar.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Only Barial and I can hear it. And I'm just kind of asking him, I'm like, what does it mean? This was so vivid. It was as if I was there.
And
he takes in a deep breath and kind of sighs and go ahead.
I was just going to say, I believe that the other part of that was Bahamut again spoke to you and essentially said something along the lines of they know who you are. I am sorry I tried to hide you. But no longer, and they are coming for you. Was the general gist of that as well.
That's the most important part. And then I
I would say both of them are equally important.
As the dream was ending, Barial, Bahamut spoke to me for the first time in a while. I knew it was him, and not someone pretending to be him, as has happened.
His eyebrows raised, and he's intently looking at you.
He says he can't hide me, Barial, anymore. He says they're coming.
Hide you? Why would he hide you?
He was hiding me. He was protecting me from the chromatics. I didn't even know. I think I might be putting us all in danger.
I See, I had I have a patron of sorts that helped when Laura died,
I nod.
and she's been speaking to me intermittently. Not like I can conjure her or anything, but at times she guides me, if you will. I guess not dissimilar to. Oh my God, Dethic, what's your character's name?
Krev.
Krev.
Krev, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Glad it's not just me.
It's been a while. Don't worry
Oh
about
my
it.
God.
It's been a while.
So not dissimilar to Krev with his fairy god or whatever. But anyways, she says they're all dying, and I mean it seems so big and so all encompassing, and I didn't really understand it. But I mean, little by little, we're getting more tidbits of information. But it's like, yeah, I think this is obviously much bigger than us, but I think we're still missing so much information that we need.
Agreed.
I kind of want to go back and what's the name of that town with the dragons nearby?
The
Where I
name.
started.
Which one?
The one with Burning Inn. That's its name, right?
The town with the dragon nearby, the Westbridge.
Are you talking? Yeah, Westbridge.
Where you where the dude had a problem with
No
Krev?
idea. Right, and something happened to there was like weird fire spontaneously jumping out of the woodwork.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyways, so I feel like we need to go back there and maybe look for the
Old Gnawbone?
those dragons, and maybe they'll have some more information.
Yeah, there's Old Gnawbone in the forest, and then just to the north of that, the Sword Mountain on the north edge of that forest was, I believe, Vex was the short name of. I can't remember the long version of the name
Yes.
now. Yeah, who flew you to Tribor?
We also know that a silver dragon is working for Mithril Hall. So
Yes,
And the bronze dragon, our friend, the little gnome lady.
yes,
Yeah, like any of these dragons that we have established relationships with to some degree that won't eat us outright. I mean, would it hurt to maybe talk to them? And I'm thinking, our green dragon friend specifically because she was a green dragon.
She might know more. Or she might. I don't know. Brile, I haven't been this rattled for a long time. Let's wait for the boys to come back, find out what this guy has to say, and then come up with a plan. I just wanted you to know that that this is happening, and we need to tell
It's kind of silent.
because I fear this dream was more than a dream. I kind of
agree.
nod and I raise up and I'll walk back over towards Saldar.
Okay.
Carl just kind of shakes his head and kind of looks off at nothing, and his face kind of distant.
Okay, and then at some point, is there anything else to tackle there before Laura and Krev show up? Okay, and scene. Well, then at some point, Laura and Krev show up, and Saldar sees Krev coming back in and stands up almost immediately and looks at everybody, and obviously he's a little bit hot to trot, and says, "Okay, this is everyone. Then we're ready."
Lore, meet Saldar.
And Saldar gives you a bow, a polite bow.
I go to do the same, but like clearly see he's like a little bit hungover, so he's not as he's not as the finesse is not there, It's he's a little bit he's like he goes to bow and maybe he like trips a little bit and catches himself falling forward. He's like, How do you do so?
And
I have prestidigitationed Lore as we were coming back to clean him up a bit.
okay.
Sadly, I have nothing I can do for the hangover.
I do.
Do you have a
gonna
wish spell?
Now, I'm going to whip out some potions for you, and I'll be like, this one will remove toxins. This one will make your teeth shiny, and this one here is just good for, I'll tell you later.
Later on in the bedroom. That one's colored blue.
It's funny because that's where I thought. That's where I thought Adventures was going with it anyway.
Yeah.
I just assumed.
So
You know me so well. So
Yeah.
well.
In the future, if you ever go reaching for blue potions, I think we need to make an Arcana check to make sure you grab the right one.
If you take this one, make sure you're ready.
Yeah, exactly.
No going back.
Hey man, look, I'm still young. I'm only 100 years old.
I was about to say,
All right.
Krev and Lore are young men. This is not a problem.
Yeah, no.
Oh, not that we've heard of, though. There's
Saldar.
yes.
We're ready.
All right.
Where are we going?
So he says, "Follow me," and he heads out, and he winds you through some of the streets of Silvery Moon. And Seth, this is you pick up on this a little bit sooner than everybody else, but it's obvious that you're heading to the more established. Not that Silvery Moon has a down on your luck area, I don't think, but certainly a more established area of Silvery Moon as he's winding through the streets, a little bit more, maybe not noble or nobility, but certainly, again, well-to-do. And if you've got your character sheet, Laura, handy, give me a history check with advantage, please. Okay. So as you're winding through and he comes upon a certain house, nice looking house, just like all the other houses in this area. You recognize this house as Syndra Sylvain. Let me throw that in. Now, you've never met Syndra, but you've certainly heard of her. A
Can I
retired.
just interrupt a quick sec, sorry?
Yeah. What's that?
I have to start getting ready, so I'm going to be able to hear you, but I won't be able to respond for a few minutes.
Okay. You know of you've heard of Syndra. You've never met her, but female human, retired adventurer, and then after retiring from adventuring, a wizard, but became a merchant of no small repute, and has been able to be a merchant in the Silvery Moon area. Maybe heard of her through your dad, through connections with your family, whatever. But you recognize that this is that house, and Saldar leads you all in and heads up some stairs with you towards a higher room. Or as you do, there's a room off the way. The doors are closed to it. You can hear some speaking beyond there. You would guess this would be some sort of drawing room or something like that, where the doors are closed, and there's obviously some sort of conversation going on there with doesn't sound like a large group, but a handful of people. And Saldar heads up, knocks on the door, hears a positive answer inside, and opens the door and says, "Mistress, those who you seek are now here," and opens the door. It's a largish room, a room that you would entertain or bring people in for a meeting and such. There's a chair with a person. Now the chair has the back to you. There's a fire, so the chair's in front of a fire, and there's a person sitting in the chair, hooded, and and again, you know Saldar or Syndra is a female human, but the voice that you hear is just torn and broken and old and not old, but just sick. And you see a hand kind of come up from the side of the chair, kind of waving you over. Doesn't make the move to get up to greet you, and just says, come over by the fire here and let me see you.
I blink on the detect magic eyes.
In the room itself, you don't detect much magic. Certainly, there's a residue of there's certainly magic here, but with on her person, you don't see a magical sword or anything like that, but you do detect that as a wizard, she would have some magical things kind of kicking around. Yeah, and
I'm
so
not feeling anything. It's just
yep.
wanted to see if she is who she says she is. Basically, I'm looking for illusions and such.
Yep.
But I move. I'm guessing we all do to kind of come around the side of the chair. Is there a place for us to sit there?
Yes, there's a bench. There's a few chairs, so you can kind of take your spots.
Yeah.
And as you do, you see this.
I look at her intently as doing this.
Okay. Well, as
What
you
does she
do,
look like?
well, you see this cloaked person in front of you. You wouldn't even know it was a woman, except for unless Seth or Laura's mentioned anything. Laura would be the only person to know. And the fact that she was addressed as mistress. But you don't.
On the just on as we come obviously to the place, I would just maybe mention to the guys her name and kind of what I know that she's known for, as far as I'm aware.
Okay, so you're all aware that this is a again retired adventurer merchant, relatively wealthy female human wizard. But as you come around, she's robed, she's cloaked. It is really tough to Krev. You're kind of looking at her intently. Ventus, you're trying to figure out what she looks like. But
Make the fire brighter. Reveal her face.
You reveal the lower part of her face. The cloak is dangling over, and you see her hands and the lower part of her face. And these are not hands and face of a young or even a middle-aged woman. She just looks sickly. She looks drained. Not necessarily
Undead?
old, but no, not undead. Just she looks and sounds sick.
Like she's 103 sort of idea.
Yeah, again, it's not so much you look old, but you look sickly.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. And Seth, you would know
Let the flames die back down.
Okay, and Seth, or Laura, you would know that she is not a old lady. She's kind of middle ages for a retired adventurer.
She clearly way older than she should be, sort of thing.
Well, again, certainly sickly and not healthy looking.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not necessarily an age thing. It's just she looks quite sick for her age and her voice and such. And what are you trying to insight?
I failed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter, but I was just trying to put together something I think the other guys probably have already figured out. She's a retired adventurer. Mm-hmm. She's an adventurer. She's probably been dead before. I'm thinking I'm looking at someone who's in the later stages of this disease. Or this curse.
Possibly, yeah.
But I that's me. I wanted Krev. Oh, did I roll on Earth's?
No,
I rolled on Krev's.
Yeah, you're just...
And Krev doesn't make the connection at all. This is just me wondering that, but I wanted Krev to wonder it too.
Okay. And Ventus, remind me your full name, Ventus Aram the Third or Aram Ventus the Third?
Ventus Aram the Third.
Okay. So you're sitting down, drinks are brought and such. She's being a gracious host.
Charming host. Okay.
Yeah. And she says, you're all very tough people to find. Ventus and Brile and Krev and Lore. And she looks at Krev specifically and she just kind of laughs and she says, we've been searching for you. And when she laughs, there's a bit of a cough there as well. And she says, Krev, I've especially been looking forward to to meeting you. You bring some humor into an old adventurer's life. I have a message for you. And she says, it's from Crowan Valharrel. Now, as players, you may not remember this, but Crowan Valharrel was when you went to Everlund, met a half orc, gave you a potion or some wine to drink, and you were magically whisked away to Moongleam Tower, I think. Moongloom Tower.
Oh yeah, this was the Harpers.
Yes, this was that was the somewhat eccentric mage there with a bunch of Tressium cats that introduced you to the Harper.
Harper Network, but
yeah.
we kind of said thank you, but no thanks. We're not. As we demurred and declined as politely as possible because we didn't have a problem with the Harpers. It's just we didn't want to ally ourselves with them either.
Yeah. So
we kind of had already made our political things known with the Lord's Alliance at that point, I think.
Yeah.
Well, two of you had, of course, Ryle's doing the Emerald Enclave thing, and Rev was still bouncing around between ideas, and he's still kind of apolitical, but his politics are basically lore at this point.
Yeah.
So to connect the dots, actually, you know what? I'll connect the dots in a moment. So she just kind of laughs at you, and she says, Crowan says, the next time she sees Imarith, she'll pass along her message to say hello, but Crowan doesn't know when he'll next get that chance. And she just kind of laughs a little bit. And what she's referring to is when you guys were flying towards Imarith and you were being scryed on, and Krev dispelled the magic and said, hello, Imarith, and dispelled it. That wasn't Imarith.
The Krev just kind of, he puts two and together. Oh. He actually just chuckles to himself.
And she laughs.
Right.
She laughs and she says, "Oh, no need to apologize." But we have been.
Understand why I thought it was her.
Yeah. And she says, "We have been looking for you for some time, and here you are, showing up at Silver Moon unexpectedly. Silver Moon unexpectedly, and it's
we've been busy."
From my various contacts, I understand that you have. And then she turns to Laura and she says, Laura, you may not know me, but I have known your father and met your father. And then her voice kind of trails off a bit, and she kind of looks at you, and she does a quick kind of incantation. Ventus, you would recognize this not as offensive, but more of like a scanning, kind of checking out sort of thing. And then she has this look on her, as much as you can tell with her demeanor and such. And it's almost like somebody just told her like her grandmother had died or something like that. Her impressions or whatever have changed drastically, and she looks at you, and then she also looks over at Bryle, but kind of a confusing look to Bryle, and then looks back to Laura and says, again, kind of despondently, and she said, I didn't realize. It would seem that I am not the only one in need of help. And this now changes a lot. She
takes like telling.
Sorry, say that again?
He gives her like a telling look, like he understands that they had this like moment or whatever.
Okay. And she raises her arms and grabs the cloak and pulls back the cloak. And I guess out of game, the best way to do this is, and it may be a challenge, but I can think of people in my life where they have been sick before the end of their time. This is what she looks like. Her hair is wispy. She doesn't, again, necessarily look old, but she just looks really, really sick.
She looks withered.
Yes. And she she explains that there is. She says that I understand from Saldar that you came to Silvery Moon looking for answers. That you have seen the challenges occurring. Unfortunately, not only in our city, but we had hoped that it was contained, but we have now found that it is well spread throughout the north and possibly even Faerun itself. People are dying. And she mentions to you that we initially felt that this was a local issue, either for Silvery Moon or certain people. When it first started happening, some people started to wither and become ill, like myself. Others, we would hear that they were killed and then not resurrected. And when we looked into it further, we found that the majority of people that were withering and dying, firstly, were somewhat wealthy. Not all of them, though. And then we found later that the one connection to everything was that the people that were withering and dying had been brought back, like myself, in the past. We have stolen from death maybe more than once, and it seems as though death is stealing back. And our research and information into this.
Under
Yep.
Rev's breath, he's basically saying, "Death can't have him.
Sorry, death can't which?
Death can't have him."
And she either doesn't hear this or doesn't react to it, and says the clerics first attempted to figure out what was going on, and they couldn't. I know that some of the factions are trying to figure this out, but within my faction, we do not display ourselves knowingly unless necessary. And within my faction of the Harpers, we have looked into things, and we, at great pain and price, we were able to ascertain information from a source that tells us that there is a curse on anyone who has been brought back, that, or anybody that dies, that souls are being trapped and not returned. We know this thing only to be called a soulmonger, and we know it to be somewhere in the south, in the land of Cholt. Sorry, go ahead.
Krev looks at her. He's scratching his head and... So... You said that the souls are being taken by this thing. You mean all souls, don't you? I mean... Those who have used resurrection magic are going faster, but even those that just die because it's their time, no one's going to the feud plane.
And she nods and says, those who die cannot be brought back.
I should have made a religion check before that. Hang on a second.
Sure.
Yes! Okay. So, yes. Everything that I said is perfectly reasonable from Crev's point of view right now.
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah. So, this is... The enormousness of this is slowly creeping into Krev's brain.
And she nods and she says the clerics are wrong. They're looking to repair and return souls, but Krev, you are correct. Anyone who dies does not come back. anyone who has died and been returned in the past is dying. And once they die, and people have died, have withered away, once they die, they do not come back. And she looks at Lore specifically, but with a bit of a side glance to Brile. Again, she now that you see her full face, like there's something about you, Brile. She's not quite figured out, but she looks at Lore.
I totally get it.
Yeah, and she looks at Lore and says, "I am dying. You, Lore, are dying, just as your father is dying."
When she says that, like you just see this look on Laura's face. It's like,
Yeah, Krebs' head snaps around to look at Lore like super fast at that point.
when she says Laura, like to him he is dying. He kind of gives that. It's more of a same as before, kind of like a look of disbelief. Like he's still not trying. Like he doesn't really want to still want to accept it. Or maybe it's not even accept it. It's more like admit it.
Mm-hmm.
But when she mentions his father, like you just see his eyes go like wide. Like,
And she sees this, and if you could imagine somebody being even sadder, that's what she looks like. And she just is in a bit of shock and horror, and she says, "Oh, I am Lore. I would have thought that if when you returned to Silvery Moon that you would have gone home first. I thought that you had known. I didn't mean to be the one to tell you."
At this point, I actually stand up and I walk over to where Lore's sitting. If it's a chair by itself, I just stand behind him, putting hands on both his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a bench, I sit down next to him and actually kind of grab his hand. But so, Lore, you'll have to say which one happens because I don't know where you're sitting.
I would have said I would probably be sitting or standing next to you or close enough to you. So.
Oh, all right. Well, in that case, if we sat on one of the benches, I just reach over and I basically grab your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Laura is just like he doesn't know how to process this. I think that the thing that's going through his mind right now is clearly like him and his dad don't have the best speaking relationship, but to find out that his father is also going through the same affliction, and that the realization that he has died and Law probably had no idea that he had died, or that regardless of if it's part of the curse or something else. Adding to the fact that his older brother just recently found out that he had died, and Law is just like, man, like he is just. He's just he is lost in like his own thoughts at this point. Like he probably wants to say something, but he's just like I said, he just has no idea how to process it. He's
and Sylvain looks or Cinder, excuse me, Sylvain's her last name, looks quite despondent, and just shakes her head and says, "I had other plans, and it seems that the world is conspiring against all of us. I knew that I had bad news to tell today." And as she says that, she glances towards Ventus, but she says, "I did not realize how much terrible news I would be providing, nor that you would be affected by this." And she explains that her plan was to call you here to send you to Chult to help, and she's realizing that is probably not possible now, nor would she ask it. But the hope was, here's a healthy party of some experience, and she became aware of you via Dude.
Corin.
Yeah, Corwin. Yeah, thank you. And also Darthra in Tribor. So you're kind of connecting it all together. That these are, they're all members of the Harpers.
Yeah, the Harpers are. We've encountered them more than we thought we had because they move in secret to do goody two shoot things.
Yeah, yeah. They tend not to make themselves known like the Lord's Alliance, for example.
Alliance, yeah.
And they tend to be they tend to be solitary. They tend not to be packs, as it were.
Yep.
And sorry. Was that just an acknowledgement, or was that something else?
It was an acknowledgement.
Oh, okay. And so she kind of collects herself a little bit and says, "Well, I was hoping we have others to send."
As soon as she says that, I immediately stand up and just say, "When do we leave?"
And she looks at you and she says, "Lore, look at me. I cannot send somebody to such a dangerous place as Chult in your condition, in our condition."
I try to cut her off and I say, "What you see before you is a dead man. I've already died once, and if this continues, I will die again. So I say again, when do we leave?"
And she kind of nods and says, "Well, let me provide the rest of the information, and then each of you can make your own decisions." And at this point, she turns to Ventus and says, "We have been intercepting some communications for some time now, and the last one that we received, I must tell you, Ventus, about that it was a simple and coded communication, similar to the other ones that we've been intercepting for some time.
What was the content of this message? And what does it have to do with me?
We did not know it had anything to do with you until recently. It says simply, the Duchess will acquire the dragon blood. We will acquire the dragon babies."
Say what?
The Duchess will acquire the dragon blood. We will acquire the dragon babies, is what the note said. And she says, we have spies many places. We keep our eyes not only on various goings-on in Faerun, but other factions, the Lord's Alliance. She looks at Brile, the Emerald Enclave, and yes, of course, the Zentarum. This message was intercepted coming out of Daggerford.
So who is this Duchess, and what does she want with dragon blood and our younglings?
She says, "I don't know who the Duchess is. I didn't know until recently who the dragon blood was, but having looked at the previous communications that we have taken, and through further understanding, we now realize that dragon blood is a code word, and the code word is for Ventus Aram III. The Duchess is acquiring you."
This is, I look at Barial and immediately make the connection from my dream. And then I spill my guts. I tell the whole group everything about the dream that I had, the fire burning up all the dragons, how Bahamut came to me and told me he could not protect me anymore. And then I immediately stand up once I'm done and I say, "I'm putting you all in danger. I must leave."
Brawl shakes his head. No, I don't think so. And he also shares. He also shares the prophecy or whatever, that they're all dying or whatever, and how this could maybe be referring to the dragons. And then he's like, "So is this curse on the land something that the dragons have brought to us? I doubt this is you specifically. Maybe sure you're named in this prophecy or whatever it is, but I still think that you need our support."
Syndra just said that the curse was from this soulmonger in Chult.
Yeah, and she'll shake her head and she says, I do not, it is very possible, but I do not believe these things are connected. We've been intercepting communications similar to this for before the death curse had started, but it could be connected. And then she turns back to Ventus and says, but here's the thing that we're confused of. If you don't know who the Duchess is, do you have dragon eggs or dragon wormlings?
I kind of look around the room.
I look at Ventus like, do you?
Didn't we pick something up that was like a stone or an egg or something that we didn't know what it was at some point?
I'm not remembering that, but it could be. Anybody else remember something similar?
Well, if you don't remember it, then we probably don't have it.
Meta.
It might have been also
Well-
with the evil alt, but I seem to recall we picked up some sort of.
I don't have
Oh, it was the
anything written down for this.
yes, it was the evil alts. At one of the relic places, there was a large stone that if you touched it or traced it in a certain way, it shrunk to another size.
Okay, so that's
Oh,
not
yeah.
it.
Well, my thought immediately
Those characters
goes
are
to the kiddos. Remember we went off to save
Your niece and nephew.
We were going to build the statue of Lore.
Yep.
Well,
That last part is very important, by the way.
Ryle and Lore.
Statue.
Oh yeah, the Lore riding the bear.
Yeah. Statue.
Monstrous bear.
Statue first, death curse second. Is that how it goes?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if I'm leaving a legacy, then I might as well leave a good legacy, you know? At least one I want people to remember.
So
You ain't leaving no legacy. I'm not letting you go.
So Syndra is looking at you and she's trying to connect everything and knowing, seemingly knowing your connection with dragons and such like that. She's wondering if you have dragon eggs or dragon wormlings or like, you know.
I immediately mentioned the Nandars, the Nandars of Nightstone, and then our connection to them, and then the kiddos that we were able to save.
Those aren't wormlings.
I forget their names. What were their names again? Do you
Yeah, I'm
remember?
trying to remember too. I have to. It's in the other
I think
game.
it's Beavis and Butthead.
But it was your grandniece and grandnephew, basically.
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to find their name in here. They're here somewhere. Hold on.
In any of our contact with these various dragon beings, none of them had wormlings. None of them had eggs or anything, right?
Nope. So as you mentioned this, and I'm going to try to find it really quickly here too, because I think I stole their name from Nightstone. Un momento. Room number 4.
Just while you're looking that up, I'm on the road right now, so if I cut out, I'll be back. It'll just be data.
Okay, gotcha. I have it in the other game. I know where to find it in the other game. I'm just trying to do a quick.
Let's go with Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with Beavis and Butthead.
So, Lady Velarosa Nandar was my connection.
Sister.
She would marry
Who's
Nandars.
your niece?
Yeah. No, it was my niece.
Oh, it was your niece.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Excuse
yeah.
me. Yeah.
But
So she had 2 kiddos, and then she died, and we rescued the kiddos and returned them to Waterdeep, and they're currently chilling at the Sorcerer's Tower in the hopes that their dragon blood will awaken and they'll become the next line of sorcerers. Who knows? We'll see. But we'll just call them little boy and little girl Ventus.
Yep. So, how much of this do you mention or not mention to Syndra?
Oh, I'm going to mention everything to everyone there because
Okay.
I'm really concerned that they're going to be stolen, and I need every help that I can get to go ensure that they're safe.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned this, and for the 3rd time, she is just kind of knocked for a loop. And she looks at you and says, Ventus, if this is true, and this is the connection, we intercepted this message 3 weeks ago.
This is not good.
Where
3 weeks ago. That
you say?
shall I create a teleportation circle and shall we go to Waterdeep right now?
I have to look up creating teleportation circles and how that works. But anyways, yeah, we could look at that. She says that is possible. Unfortunately, I believe there it is. You draw it on a ground, inscribed with sigils that link your location to a permanent teleportation circle of your choice, whose sigil sequence you know. Yes, you know Waterdeep's sigil sequence from the Harpers from way back in the day.